All right. Welcome to Semper Sometimes with Benny. So I got Joe with us. He's a Marine like myself. Off the recruiting streets, kind of around the same time as us. As me, I got off March of 2021. He recently got off too back in February. So one of the reasons why he came on the podcast was just to talk a lot about his time on the duty, resiliency, and out, before we even start the episode, I want to get this out there. A lot of these episodes are going to be a lot of the same conversation, but the purpose of the episodes is that it's the same conversation with different people, because every AO is different, every person on the duty is different, and every Marine is different, every command is different. So where there's so many different things that come about while on the duty, that it could be the same topic, but it could be so different in nature. And that's what I'm trying to do here, is just help anybody who's on the street or anybody who's off the street, but still thinking about the past and reminiscing in the times that they had on the duty. So without further ado, Joe, welcome.
Oh, hey, thank you. Thank you. Like I said, I love the setup. Love the setup.
Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. Bro, I like how you have the recruiting ribbon behind your head, and then I like how you have the staff sergeant chevron with the NCO with that shit. That shit's dope, bro.
Yes, sir. That's one thing I can say undoubtedly came through recruiting. It's such a intense environment that you really build some really good bonds. And I got that from some of my guys that I was recruiting with right as I left. So
That's dope, man. And that's the thing that's like, to me, that's like, and that's something, you know what? There's something that I haven't talked about on the podcast, man. And I'm glad that we brought it up right from the jump. When I left recruiting duty, my buddy, he told me, so I had asked my boy, he's an artist, right? I wish I had it. I got to put it on my wall, but my buddy's an artist, and he would always doodle and draw and do this shit. And the whole 3 years we were on the duty together, I would always ask him to draw me something. And he'd be like, bro, I ain't got time. He'd be like, bro, I ain't got time. I ain't got time.
yeah.
And then even when I became his boss, eventually 2 years later, I was like, bro, bitch, I'll give you the time. And he was like, nah, I'm not drawing you anything. So eventually, my going away present, me and him were getting off duty at the same time. He drew a portrait of me, put it in a shadow box, and then put this like the write up on it, bro. Dude, I fucking love it. Like,
Yeah.
yes, I kind of look like Saddam Hussein, but it's okay. He did, like, I love what he did with it. He put the colors of the ribbon, the NCO colors. He put that on as that's what my portrait's blue and red, so it's freaking dope, man. And then for him, I went and I made like it was the same thing, the recruiter ribbon, and then I put the he loves Mortal Kombat, loves the Marine Corps, so I had the Mortal Kombat logo burnt in, and then I had the Eagle Benaker built burnt in on the one side, and then I wrote some stuff in it. But that's the thing, man, is I see so many Marines get off this duty, or even just switch, PCS and go somewhere else, and they leave with nothing. And it's like, it's fucked up. It's like, bro, this dude put 3 or 4 years of his life into this, and you're not even gonna give him a plaque. You're not gonna give him an award. And it's not that we do this stuff for an award, but it's something to put on a wall and to look back on and remember. And then when you have children and a family, like, wow, but then you have some people who are like, bro, keep it all. I don't want to remember this duty. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's two of the opposite thing, man. But so tell us a little bit about you, man, before we hop into the podcast and stuff. Like, tell us a little bit about your career, your background, and how you found yourself on recruiting duty. Did you get histed? Did you volunteer? So give us kind of a background on you, and then we'll go from there.
So I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio, and I've, to be truthful, I've always wanted to go recruiting, because
Okay.
I felt like the recruiter has such an important part in the job. And I know we hear that a lot at the schoolhouse and stuff like that. Like, the recruiter is the most important, and essentially they are. Like, no,
Yeah.
they're the first contact from civilian to military. They are the most important. And so I've always kind of wanted to be a recruiter. I tried as a corporal, as I was getting really close to sergeant. I got denied. I had high blood pressure. And then I tried again, and I was able to get the blood pressure and everything under control. And then I was able to go recruiting. So I was trying to recruit out of my hometown or around in that area. So I was like,
Yeah.
man, I felt like I could really go back and grab some people and lead them to a better place, a better some more opportunity. But at the time, the RSS was full. So then I was like, you know what? If my hometown's full, I don't really care where you send me. You know, I'll adjust and try to and make it and go from there. So, and then yeah.
So where did you, if you don't mind me asking, where did you end up being a recruiter at?
So Louisville, the RS was Louisville, and then the RSS was Evansville.
Okay, is that in Ohio
No,
or is that Kentucky?
it's it's not far from Ohio. So it's like, since I didn't get the specific area, it's in the same district. So it was in Indiana, Evansville, Indiana, and then
Oh,
Louisville,
okay.
Kentucky
Got you,
was the
got you,
RS. So it was
got you.
honestly 4 hours from where I live.
So
So
how was your experience like with like, so before we get into like different topics and stuff, how was your overall experience on the duty? Mm.
it was tough. It was extremely tough. And I think it's tough for a couple of different reasons for me.
Okay.
And like you
Yeah.
said, everyone's experience is different, places, stuff like that. For me, it was tough, but it was also extremely educational. I learned a lot about the world around me, because I'm one of those dudes that joined straight out of high school. So my experience is different from a guy who made a join at 19, 21.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I'm absorbed at the same time. I'm a very absorbent person. I'm like a sponge. So I'm trying to pull experience from people, whether they joined straight out of high school or before, or whatever the case may be. But it was a very difficult, but it was a very educational experience.
So what was so difficult about it? Like, especially with you coming out wanting to be on the duty, that immediately gives you a different taste of things. You know what I mean? Because a
Mhm.
lot of people, they come off the jump bitter, mad, annoying. I don't want to be here. Why did the Marine Corps do this to me? And instead, you're coming out here with a brighter light. You're like, I wanted this. This is where I wanted to be. So, how was your attitude reflected upon what was going on? And what was it that like you say, you keep saying it was difficult. So, what was it that was difficult about it?
So one of the reasons to why I wanted to go on recruiting was that I wanted to enact change on people's lives and reach as many people as I could. And then the difficult part, this was one of the difficult parts, is that as you start to understand how recruiting works, not just past the schoolhouse, and how it actually works when you're out there talking to actual people and you start dealing with those human dimensions, I started to realize not everyone that I encounter wants that opportunity, even if they know
Mm,
what it is, because I believe, man, if they don't want it, they just don't know how good it is yet. So I
yeah,
just got
yeah,
to
yeah,
get it to them. But
yeah.
even then, people, and that's one of those things, going back to what it helped me learn, I was another learning experience, is that even if someone knows the right answer, even if someone is given the tools to make the right decision, does not mean that they will make it. And I had to come
Right,
to grips with that and understand that you can't reach
bro,
everybody. You can't help everybody.
bro,
You only got so
bro,
much time,
bro.
right?
Preach, man. Bro, I'm telling you, everything you're saying is exactly how I felt, bro, because I was the same way. I was like, dude, how do you not see what I'm telling you, man? And like, how do you not understand this? And how do you not understand that? And, for me, it's exactly what you're saying. And it took me a long time to come to grips with it too. Because at first, when I first started, bro, I was like, I don't know how you acted, but like I kind of got like mad about it. I was like, I would be like, bro, what do you mean you don't want to hear about the Marine Corps? What do you mean you don't want to join the Marine Corps? And in the beginning, I kind of got offended by it. But then I realized more and more that it was how I was coming off, and
Mhm.
I wasn't coming off the right way. And a lot of times, even till today, I come off really cocky, especially being in the Marine Corps uniform. But a lot of people love that about me. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But that's why, as I grew as a recruiter, as a staff in COIC, I realized, okay, I gotta make it unique to the person. I got to make the Marine Corps fit your needs. I got to make sure I ask you all those questions, find the why, find the reasons, and then paint you the picture that you're going to be able to understand. Because that's the thing too, and that's the thing about the schoolhouse with it being so short, is that a lot of the stuff that you don't learn until like year two of being on the duty. And you're like, bro, if I knew this a year ago, because the thing is that like the way that I kind of make sense of it is that if I showed you this painting, your thoughts on this painting are different than my thoughts on this painting.
Mhm.
But the only person who really knows the thought behind it is the artist, right? So when I'm talking to applicants, when I'm talking to kids on the street, I'm painting an image, and their interpretation of that image is going to be different for every one of them. So I have to try the best that I can to give the best interpretation of the image. I have to give the best, drawing of, hey, this is what the Marine Corps looks like. But it's also being able to have that conversation and not even have to bring the Marine Corps up. So so that was a difficult part for you. So how did you kind of come to terms with that? How did you kind of, end up using that as a tool in your arsenal to get better as you went along?
Uh, and that's something that I would probably say it's something that you can never be too good at, but it's just understanding the human dimensions. And I try to use that once I can try to obviously analyze a person to see some of because the biggest thing is going to be something is holding them back from making that decision, right? And it's no different than what you hear over the motivational videos, or the rock video that just came out. It's about drive. It's about
Yeah, 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 yeah.
it's all about what is it that they want and what are they willing to do or to sacrifice to get to that.
Yeah.
If you see somebody and man, you want to go to school, but you're working to go to school to pay for it so that you can have a better life. I said, I tell you, that's a very, very difficult situation to overcome, especially in
Yeah.
areas where people might not have that money.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I promise you, if you utilize the Marine Corps or something along those lines, right, to overcome that, you will be successful. Now, a lot of people don't see from the beginning of what it entails, so they're fearful of it, and they don't believe the recruiter. And I understand, because I've met recruiters that were dishonest, not
Yeah.
necessarily specific to our branch, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you fight so many obstacles to try to overcome. It's such a difficult thing to just say, I found this, but I found that helped me. I just tried to be as transparent as possible.
Bro, that's it, man. That's it. Being transparent, being real. So one of the things that I want to kind of get into, because I've never gotten into it on this podcast. So one of the things that I used to do is like what you're talking about, right? So the kid says, "Hey, man, I want to go to college, and I'm going to work to go to college." I'm my biggest thing in life is I'm just a common sense oriented person. So I would literally just be like, bro, if I gave you a car for free, would you take it? Everyone's like, yeah, why wouldn't I? I'm like, okay. So if I gave you the opportunity to get a free education, would you take it? Well, why wouldn't I? Okay, well, now why would you take the same car but say, you know what? Nah, I want to pay for it. You would never do that. So I would go with that. And then what I would do is, so some people call this the Franklin T close, but I ended up like engineering it and taking it my own way. And what I would do is I would take a whiteboard, not even a piece of paper. I went to headquarters. I got myself a big ass whiteboard, and I would use it on every interview. And I would pull the whiteboard up, and I would put a T, and then on the top left, I would put Sergeant Williams. Like if you whatever your name was, whatever the kid I'm talking to, whatever your name is, I'm gonna take your last name, I'm gonna put Sergeant in front of it. And then on the right hand side, I'm gonna take your name and I'm just gonna put Mr. Williams. And I'm gonna say, listen, the purpose of this is to show us what 4 years of your life is gonna look like without the Marine Corps and what 4 years of your life is gonna look like with the Marine Corps. And I'm gonna use this as I go through the whole interview. So I'm going to take this, and as we go through the whole interview, I'm going to continue to write stuff on it. and everything I write is going to be in your own words. And they're like, okay. So then what I do is, before I even start the interview, I ask you, hey man, what is success to you? And you say, oh, well, success to me is whatever the hell it is you say, right? So on the bottom of the whiteboard, I write success is, and then I write down their exact words, and then I circle it. Okay. Then I say, okay, well, how are you going to get to here? What is your plan to get to here? And that's where underneath Mr. Williams, I write their plan in their words. Go to college, get a job. All of these like cliche terms that it's always the same shit every interview said. So then I leave that alone. Now, Sergeant Williams, that column is still blank. So when I do the benefit tag presentation, I knock out the benefit tag presentation. And then the first thing I ask them, what does this mean to you? Why did you choose that tag? The normal stuff. But then when he's done telling me all of that stuff, I ask him, okay, well, without the Marine Corps, how do you get that? Now, immediately, 9 times out of 10, oh shit, I don't know. Or he's like, whatever. So now I take that benefit tag and I put it underneath the Sergeant Williams column. And then I, write down a couple of things, some things that he felt, and throughout the interview, if he's saying things like, I don't know, I'll write that down, IDK. Or if he says, lack self-confidence, I'll write that down, all on the right-hand side. And then by the end of it, I'll show him all the things that he said, all the things that came out of his own words. And then I'll look at him and I'll be like, hey, and now mind you, now on the left-hand side, it'll be, actually, no, my bad, I have it the wrong way. On the right-hand side, the Sergeant Williams, on the left-hand side, that's all him. So at the end of the interview, after we've gone through everything, after we've literally gone through his plan, I'll look at it and I'll be like, hey, listen, man, like, look at the left side, bro. Look at your plan. What do you see there? And I'll have him read it. And I'll be like, bro, you said I don't know like 10 times in this interview. I was like, I asked you this, you said this. And I have their own words, so they can't say I put words in their mouth. So then on the right-hand side, I'm like, look at what the Marine Corps can do for you. I showed you how the Marine Corps did this, the Marine Corps did this, the Marine Corps did this, and the Marine Corps is going to be able to do all these different things for you. And, I utilize the macabre as I'm doing that. So now at the end of the interview, I can do that nice recap. I can, put it in a bow, gift it to him. And then I ask him this. I say, hey, man, do you want to be Mr. Williams or do you want to be Sergeant Williams? And then 9 times out of 10, they're going to be like, bro, I want to be Sergeant Williams. And then I'm like, okay, well, then what is going to stop you from being Sergeant Williams? And now here comes all the shit. My mom, my dad, my brother, my this, my
girlfriends,
that.
yeah.
Yep. All that stuff now comes out. But now I have everything written down that I don't want to say leverage against him, but now me and him are really having this conversation. I'm like, bro, you just told me that you had all of this stuff that you wanted to accomplish in life. And I showed you that the Marine Corps can help you get there. And by doing this, this, and the third. And you just showed yourself that you don't have this plan, bro. So what are you going to do? And why are you going to allow whatever that negative influencer, whatever that person is, man, why are you going to let this person do this? Why are you going to let this person do this? And then boom. And I have 9 times out of 10, the dude will be like, hey, man, can I take a picture of that? I'm like, of course, bro. But take a picture of it, man. Save it so that when you go home. Now, why did I do this? Why did I create this? The reason why I created it was because when 9 times out of 10, when that kid leaves the office, and I say kid, but really you be talking to people who are 29 years old, bro. So, when that person leaves the office, they'll be in that car and they'll be like, yo, what the fuck did I just talk about for 2 hours? But now, because I wrote all this stuff down, it's in their head. They're like, oh yeah, he talked about this, he talked about that. And of course, I provide him the collateral materials and all that stuff. But now me and him broke down his entire future in the next 4 years on piece of paper. And what this also does is it shows I do this with parents there, I do it with him there, but it shows him that I took the time as a person who doesn't even know him to go over his next 4 years of life and really dig deep on him. And then he tells his parents that, or if the parents there, they'll be like, wow, Staff Sergeant Bennett's really involved. They'll be like, wow, I never even thought about that. And then the parent is sitting there like, shit, we didn't really think about this, we didn't think about that. And now everybody in the room is thinking about it and they're adding stuff in. And if I'm if I'm in the interview and mom and dad are there, and if mom and dad say some shit, I'll put that on the board too. I'll be like, oh well, your mom said, your dad said, because at the end of the day, no one wants to play the he said, she said game. But if
Yeah.
I write it down, and I'm like, hey, you said that, right? Oh yeah, I said that. Okay, I'm gonna talk to you about that at the end. And then I bring it back. I circle back. I'm like, hey man, well, you said it was really important for your son to do this, and the third. And then they're like, oh shit, like I did say that. So, that's some of the stuff that I learned through the difficulty, through the resiliency. So, and I know that was one of the things that you said you wanted to talk about was resiliency on the duty, becoming resilient. So what specifically did you mean by that? And why did you feel like that was a topic that you wanted to discuss?
Um, Again, one of the reasons to why I feel like it's super important, I wanted to talk a little bit about it was because so much is put on the shoulders of the recruiter. I mean, I can't speak for other branches, but I can speak for Marine Corps recruiters. Um, we're doing the package. We're talking to the applicant, or we're talking to the parents, the motivate, the negative influencers, the boyfriends, the girlfriends, the wives. We are such a large part of the applicant's life.
Yeah.
And anyone that I've ever recruited knows that. There's a lot that I still talk to their parents. I still talk to them.
Hmm.
Some I don't talk with as much. We're hopefully still on good terms. It's just not to be too intrusive in their life, because sometimes people, they join and they do their thing and they're happy and they're gone. But we're such a important part of their life, and that's just the applicant. Now we
Yeah.
got to do all the paperwork. Now we have to get that applicant to MEPS. Now we have to work with that applicant to get to where they need to be, whether it be physically, whether it be mentally,
Mentally, emotionally.
all of that, right?
Yeah.
And then we're getting them to boot camp, to there. We're picking their job field. We're going through all that aspects and still educating them the whole time. And
Yeah.
no part of that did I ever even still mention anything to do with the recruiter. Me
Yeah.
being the recruiter's personal life, the recruiter's
Yeah.
family, the
Yeah.
recruiter's
Bro,
support.
and you didn't even talk about prospecting.
No, yeah, duh, prospecting, yeah, because
Yeah.
you find
You're
one
not
person,
wrong,
you
man.
got that one critical, as an
Well,
individual, and now you got to
yeah.
mold them, but you also have to continue to
Got to
find
find
more to
another
mold.
one. And then on top of that, the other thing too is, think about how many kids you invested
All that time.
months, days, and then they pop on deck, or
Yep.
they back out, or they
Yep.
get hurt, or
Yep.
they quit at boot camp,
Yep.
or they join the Marine Corps just to get NJP'd and kicked out of the Marine Corps. And
Yep.
it's like, bro, like the amount of hours that you put in to one kid, to one individual. And like you said, man, like you don't know how, like, I don't know how many times, like there was a dude that I literally interviewed probably like 4 times,
Mhm.
sat through with his parents 4 different times, went to dinner 4 different times, and finally he ended up joining. Finally, he ended up becoming a Marine, and it was like, and his parents were like, why are you so about this? And I'm like, well, because first of all, I know your son's going to be a phenomenal Marine. And number two, it's not about, and the reason why I did stuff like that was because it showed people it wasn't about the number. And then I
No.
would say that. I would tell the parent that, be like, man, if this was about the number, I wouldn't be at your house at 8 o'clock at night trying to sit down and talk to you. Does any other salesman do that? No. I'm like,
Nope.
man, I got a wife and son at home. I got kids that I gotta have a family to go home to, but instead, I'm enjoying my night with you and your family. Why? Because the Marine Corps is family oriented, because I want to help your son with a better life, and because this is what he wants. And bro, I swear, man, like, dude, I had a mom, Mrs. Polanco. So I'm gonna be real with you, and a lot of people hate when I say this, but it's the truth. In 4 years, well, I was a recruiter for 2 years. So in
Mhm.
the 2 years of me being a recruiter, guess how many first seniors I had?
Not a lot.
One,
Okay, yeah,
bro. And I say that because, bro, I wrote grads every day. I
yeah,
would write, bro. I wrote grads because
yeah,
guess what?
they
I
get
can
it.
kiss and ship. I can kiss
Yep.
and ship him. He can join the program. I can get him out on Monday. And it was because I didn't want to deal with the pool cards. I didn't want to deal with the follow ups. I didn't want to deal with talking to parents, getting docs, getting this, getting PCs, getting all this stuff. I didn't want to deal with it. Could I do it? 100%. I would help other recruiters do it. I would go sit down with PCs. I would do all that stuff. But I just didn't want to deal with high school seniors, bro. And one year, I got my first senior, Sean Polanco. I love the shit out of you, bro. If you listen to this episode, don't hate me for what I'm gonna say. So this young gentleman, man, literally comes up, man, talking to him in a school. He's a same day interview. I had an RA with me. The RA was talking his ear off. Corporal Rupert. She's now getting out of the Marine Corps, medically separating. But she came home on RA, and she was yanking people up at the table setups, like, yo, get over here. PFC Rupert, man. She was like, get over here, get over here, get over here. Like, dude, just hustling, bro, getting down, doing push-ups and shit. And this dude, Sean Polanco, come walking up, and he's like, damn. He's like, yo, I want to join the Marine Corps. Like, literally, dude, out of nowhere, right? And but I'm gonna be real. The kid didn't want to stop smoking pot. Kid didn't
Oh
want to
yeah.
stop smoking pot. Kid, was like, oh, I'm gonna stop, I'm gonna stop. So I drug test the kid. Kid's clean. Um, so I end up bringing him to the office. The kid's like, bro, I want to join the Marine Corps. Let's go. I'm down. I'm about it. But he's 17. So I'm like, all right, bro, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna bring you home. I'm gonna walk in your house and I'm gonna talk to your mom. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna talk to your mother right now. He goes, nah, 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 nah. He's like, bro, we could do it later. My dad's not home. My mom doesn't even know I'm talking to you. Like, bro, when I tell you this whole shit went down, like, we left the high school, went to the office, went to his house. Like, that's how it all happened. Because in my head, I was like, I'm getting PCs today.
Yeah.
So I walk in. Mom is like, hello? And he's like, hey, mom, this is Sergeant Bennett with the Marines. And she's like, no, 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 this
Oh, he
isn't
already knew what it
happening.
was.
She goes, nope, nope, She goes, and we're not having this conversation if your father isn't here. And I was like, well, ma'am, I was like, if you don't mind, do you mind if we just sit down and have a couple of words just so I can, anything you want to
Understand
ask
you.
me,
Yeah.
just so I can understand where you're coming from. Let me see, whatever. So we end up sitting down. Mom's telling me about her concerns, and her biggest concern was that her son was a brand new high school senior. It was September of his high school senior year. And until today at 12 o'clock noon, he
He
had
didn't know
never
what.
thought about joining the Marine
Yep.
Corps.
Yep.
So she was like, there's no way you're going to come home and tell me all of a sudden now you're going to join the Marine Corps. And he was like, but mom, like, listen, we talked about this and we talked about that. And the good thing about it was I had Rupert, who literally just got out of boot camp. So she was there as a proof source.
Mhm.
And she was like, no, ma'am, I just went through. And the mom kept asking her, well, how was it? This and the third. And Rupert was like, oh, I loved it. I joined because of this. And she told her story. She was like, I joined my senior year. I was in graduate. Dude, this chick, Rupert, man, love her to death, bro. She was at her high school graduation, like literally at graduation in cap and gown. And she had a full ride to a Catholic university. She gets a call from Staff Sergeant Rodriguez, the recruiter, and she's like, "This is who?" She's like, "The Marine Corps." She goes, "Oh, okay, hold on." She hangs up the phone. She gets up from graduation and leaves. Bro, she went, talked to the recruiter, fell in love with the Marine Corps, but she also had a tattoo. She ended up paying $8,000 to get rid of the tattoo so she could join the Marine Corps, bro. She had to go
Oh,
through surgeries, she had to go through skin grafting, like all this stuff to get rid of it. But dude ended up joining the Marine Corps, doing great. But she was able to be in the room with me So I wasn't even talking. It was her, a brand new Marine, right out of boot camp, talking to the mother. And I
Close
made
to
the
their
mother a
age. Yeah.
promise. I was like, listen, ma'am. I was like, I remember being a high school senior. I graduated from the same school as your son, and I was exactly who your son is right now. I was stupid. I was hanging out with the wrong people. I was doing the wrong things. And, if it wasn't for the Marine Corps, I wouldn't be where I am. I own a house. I have children. I have a wife. Like, if it wasn't for the Marine Corps, ma'am, I would probably be in jail or be doing stupid things. And I know that's what your son's doing right now. But your son sees that and he wants to make a change. So long story short, I think I ended up having, the dad wasn't coming home until either later or the next day. So she was like, hey, come back and we'll talk to the dad. Dad came in. Dad was like, hey, like, your dad had no problems with it. Dad was just like, listen, if you tell your mother you're going to
Yeah.
do this shit,
Yeah.
the dad was like, listen, if you tell your mother you're going to do this shit, that's between you and your mom. He was like, but if you freaking break this promise, if you do anything, he's like, you're losing your word. And what I'm getting at was, this was my only first senior I ever had, bro. Kid was from September all the way to June. Bro, this kid was the living, breathing heart attack I never wanted in my life, bro. This kid, bro, I would go to the school to check up on him. And like I said, I graduated his school. So I knew the principal, I knew all the faculty, I knew everybody in the school. So I would go and I would just show up. I would walk into his classroom and sit right next to him. And I'd ask the teacher, I'm like, so how's he doing? And the teacher would be like, not good. I'm like, what the? And right in, bro, in front of all the students, I'd be like, what the fuck do you mean, Sean? And the teacher would let me have at it, bro. I would be like, what do you mean you're not doing good? Why are you not doing good? And I would go at him. And then all of a sudden he started going, like, wasn't showing up to pool PT, wasn't showing up to some shit. So I went into the school, I went to his guidance counselor, who actually was my guidance counselor. And I was like, hey, miss, I was like, Lauren, what's going on with Sean? Oh, Doug, he's not getting to school on time. He's right now, he might not graduate high school. I'm like, what? I'm
Whoa.
like,
Yeah.
what? I'm like, wait, what
Yeah.
happened, Lauren? I'm like, what happened? I'm like, what do you mean he's not gonna graduate? She was like, Doug, he's got like 30 some odd absences in his first period class. And I'm like, well, why isn't he here on time? She's like, I don't know. I'm like, all right, call him. I was like, call him to the office. So he doesn't even know I'm in the school. I'm like, call him to the office. So she calls him on the loudspeaker. And this is what's important about having those relationships with the schools,
Cool. Yep.
because you could do shit like this. So I was like, Lauren, call him. So she calls him down to the office, bro. This kid, I swear to God, bro, dude, he opens the door and his face just went pale, ghost. He's a Puerto Rican dude, light skin. And bro, he went pale and he saw me and he was like, oh, fuck.
You already
And
know
he
why.
and he looked at and he started, bro. He started with some stupid shit like, Stetson, I don't think I want to do this no more. I don't
Nah.
think I want to do this no more. I was like, bro, stop. Right in front of Lauren. I was like, stop. First of all, why the fuck you being late to school? And I was cursing, bro. I didn't even care. I was like, bro, why the fuck you being late to school? And he was like, well, because I gotta wait for my boy to pick me up. My boy picks me up. I was like, your boy picks you up? I was like, hold on. I looked at her. I was like, Lauren,
Y'all
where's
got
the
a
bus
bus?
stop?
Yep.
I was like, Lauren, where's the bus stop? She goes, it's around the corner from his house, Doug. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I know, because I live around the corner from your house, Sean. I was like, I took the same bus that you take right now, Sean. So I was like, guess what? And then she looks in the system. She's like, oh, wait a minute. His parents didn't put him on the bus schedule for this year because he missed the first couple of buses because he was going with his friends. I was like, Lauren, that's cool. I was like, Lauren, that's cool. I was like, call the bus driver, put him on the list. I'm going to call his mom right now. His ass is going to be on the bus tomorrow. So I got on the phone with his mom. It's like, hey, Miss Polanco, I have Sean with me right here. I'm in the guidance counselor I'm in the guidance office with Lauren. Your son's going to be on the school bus tomorrow, so he stops being late for school. Because if he doesn't stop being late for school, he's going to not graduate. Bro, his mom, thank you so much, Doug. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for doing that for me. He won't listen to me. He's not talking to me. This, and this. He thinks he could do whatever the hell he wants. He's doing this. He's not coming home, da. So this is the first time this happens. So then what happens? A couple months later, his mom calls me. Dude, mom called me late as fuck one night. I don't know where he's at. He's out past curfew. He thinks he could do whatever he wants. All right, word. Bro, I rolled up on him I don't know how. I figured out where he was at, rolled up on him in Middletown. I was like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? Your mother's calling me to find out why you aren't where you're supposed to be. And that's supposed to be home. I was like, you're hanging out with your stupid friends. Your friends are doing drugs. I'm not going to sit here and say you are or you're not, but you're coming home smelling like drugs. Your mom's saying you're doing stupid shit. So, bro, what the fuck's going on? That's all right. I'm sorry. I was like, listen, bro. And it literally came to a point where he was about to be done with it all. And I just sat down with him, man. And I went into I knew what I had to do. So the next day I went to the school and I asked his teacher if I could do a class talk. And his teacher was like, yeah, you could do a class talk. So I go into the school, it was a history class. So I do a class talk with him and my boy Durkee. And I'm the type of dude that if you decide you want to drop the program, bro, I'm gonna tell everybody in the school right in front of you, because I'm gonna roast you in front of them. Like I had poolees who would decide not to join, and I would make sure everybody knew. So I sat there, I went to school, sat into the classroom, and I started talking, and I was like pointing people out, and I never pointed him out. I was like, hey, what are you gonna do? And it was all of his boys. I was like, what are you gonna do? Oh, I'm gonna go to college. Oh, for what? To do this. And then I finally got to him. He was like the fifth to last person. I was like, hey, Sean. I was like, what are you going to do? And he was like, I was like, Sean, what are you going to do? Because they're all going to go to college to be cops. I was like, Sean, what job did you get in the Marine Corps? Military police. Wait a minute, Sean. So you're telling me that they're all going to go to college for the next 4 years, but you're going to be a cop in like September of next year? And immediately, bro, he was like, yeah. He was like, yeah, I'm joining the Marine Corps. And hey, bro, mentality change, put him on the spot. Bro, now he's about to be a corporal in the Marine Corps, bro, chilling out in Cali. And I know that was a long-winded story, but, you know, he still hits me up. He still Snapchats with me. And that's the part about being the resilient, you know, having that resiliency. Because, bro, I could have quit on him. You know, I could have said, nah, fuck that kid. I could have said, no, F that mom. I could have said, nah, I'm not going to take that mom's phone call. No, I'm not going to. And that's the thing, is that we make all of these promises to these kids, but we don't do nothing on the back end. We say, hey, man, you know, when that kid commits to us and we sit down in that interview, you know, we're like, hey, bro, yo, I'm going to take care of you. Hey, man, I'm going to help you lose the weight. I'm going to help you do this. But then all that stuff you mentioned before is stacked piled on our shoulders. And you got this kid who you still haven't gone and ran an IST on. You have this kid who's gained weight since he joined the pool program. And all these things that you told him you were going to do for him never come to fruition. Now you do become that liar in a sense. And now you're like, fuck, man, I told that kid I was going to do this and I didn't. You know, and I told this for mom. And that was the thing that always held me back. It would remind me, like, bro, I made that kid's mom a promise. I told that kid's mom I was going to take care of him. So then I would remind myself of that. So again, like you said, that's where it comes to the whole resiliency part. You know, having to remind yourself of all the stuff that you got to do. And that's why it's crazy, because a lot of what we're talking about, nobody told you when you were at BRC, nobody told you that you were going to have to do all of this shit and wear all of these hats. And I get it, maybe they don't want to scare you, but I feel like for me, it's like, nah, motherfucker, I need to be scared straight. That's why they made that TV show, Scared Straight. Like, I need you to tell me all of this stuff that's going to be packed into my one day, because it can help me be resilient now. So I know I just rambled on, but, you know, what are some experiences that you dealt with that helped you become more resilient? And what are some of the good times, the bad times you had on the duty? Like, can you just tell us a little bit about that?
So, and then one thing, you gotta have the drive, and the drive. What I mean by drive is something driving you, right? Something that when you're tired because you were prospecting super late last night, and you're putting the BIQ in super late at night or early before MEPS open because you waited too late because you had to go get docs and stuff like that. Something that pulls you out and keeps you moving. You have to have something like that. Um, some of the things that I can think of with me and what occurred at my station is we were a team, we were a family, right? Really, we really had to work and be there for each other because, like I said, it's just naturally too much for one person. So you're gonna have your guys that are stronger at some things and weaker at others, but just having a team mentality there and using that to push and drive forward. That was kind of, I think, the other second part of the, resiliency of just trying to build yourself to be stronger. That's what drove me and allowed me to keep going. Is I would find those that I know that wanted it enough. And I don't mean people want to do a lot of things. People want to lose weight, but they're still fat. People want to get a job, but maybe they're not looking. A lot of people want a lot of things, but they don't want it enough to go get it. You have to find those that want it enough to go get it. If you take 2 steps, I'll take 2 with you, and we'll get there together. So that is, and I honed in on that. Now, the Marine Corps' natural lines of prospecting is you find those that are willing to hear the word and continue to go from there. But I was like, man, a lot of times, and I'm all for that. Talk to as many people as you can, interview as many people as you can, because if you can plant the appropriate seeds, it will grow into trees. And that's just it. The hardest thing when you were saying a lot of when you're using the T close, right? One of the biggest issues is that because we are recruiters and we're salesmen, we come off as such salesmen that people automatically turn their brain off, even though what we're saying is 100% true. And we're saying it enthusiastically or from the heart, and we mean it coming from a good place, but they'll turn it off because, oh, that's a recruiter. He'll say anything you want so he can get you to join. And then it's after the fact, right? Those grads, those later on down the line, it's like, man, what he said was true. Regardless of why he said it, it was true.
Well, and going off of that, man, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's why you got to, right off the rip, you have to separate yourself from a recruiter and from a salesman. Because if you come off as a recruiter, as a salesman, then they're immediately going to turn it off. But if and that's why I would approach kids like, bro, like for a while, I started off like that. I would be like, hey, man, have you ever thought about joining the Marine Corps? And then I had my boy who was like, bro, stop. My boy Romain was like, bro, stop that shit. He was like, bro, just go up to him and talk to him about whatever. He's like, bro, when you walk up to him in a uniform, they immediately know why you're here to talk to him. He was like, bro, so why the hell do you have to immediately start with that? So mind you, though, even as I got better and even as I became a staff instructor, I still kept that, because for me, so there was 2 ways I did it, right? I would either come up to you and I would be like, hey, man, nice fade. Even if you had the trashiest haircut in the world, I would be like, yo, nice fade, bro. And then I might even at the end of it be like, bro, I was joking, bro, but I know a good spot you can get a cut. And then, I would break it, talk to him normally. Hey, did you see that new movie? I would, bro, in high schools, I would roast kids. I would make fun of people. I would get people to realize that I was a normal human being before I even brought the Marine Corps into conversation. And at high schools, I wouldn't even bring up the Marine Corps, dude. I would just go sit at a table and just talk to people, bro. I would literally just go sit at a table and not say anything until they said something to me like, yo, why is this dude here? And then I'm like, oh, finally somebody said something. The fuck? I'm like, y'all just let some random ass stranger sit at your table and no one's gonna say nothing. And then, I would break it up, break the monotony. And then, and when people would say that, like parents would say that, oh, you're just a salesman or you're just a recruiter. Of course you're gonna say something. And I would look at them and I'd be like, man, with all due respect, can I ask you a question? They're like, yeah, sure. I'd be like, what do you think I get out of your son joining the Marine Corps? Like, do you think I get commission? Do you think I get something out of it? I was like, no. I was like, when I sit down with your son or daughter and I say that they're going to join the Marine Corps, I'm putting my name, my career, my life on them. I'm telling the Marine Corps institution that they are good enough to be a Marine, and that I believe that, and that I believe in you as a parent, I believe in them as a person, and I believe that they are a good model citizen that should be a Marine. And the moment that I broke that down to the parent, they would listen more. They'd be like, oh, wait. And that was my favorite thing, bro. Like when I was on the phones, bro, if I had a mom on the phone who was disgruntled, my favorite part was getting that same person to be on the phone with me for 45 minutes. I would just flip the script on them because that's the thing. And we all, even as recruiters, bro, we don't want to be sold into anything.
Yeah.
And that's what I would tell. And that's another thing I would try to tell the person or the kid. I'd be like, listen, man, you're going to equate me to a salesman. I know you're going to. But you know what the problem with a salesman is, man? They're like, what? I'm like, man, if I sell you on the Marine Corps, guess what you could do tomorrow? You can return it. I was like, if I sell you something, you're going to get a receipt with the purchase and you can come back tomorrow and return it. I was like, man, there's no refunds here. There's no returning it. I don't have a return policy because I'm not here to sell you on anything. I'm here to just talk to you about an opportunity that could change you and your son's life for the rest of forever. And if you don't want to hear that, that's fine. And I would turn around and walk away, bro. And they'd be like, hold on. Because the moment you come off as a salesman, the whole conversation's done. No one want to talk to you. And that's the problem with a lot of recruiters is that, bro, you don't got to be a recruiter, just be a Marine.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, and in those aspects, I try to always hone in on. I love parents. I love parents because a lot of, and some parents with, again, Marine Corps recruiters, and what I've experienced is some parents don't always realize that our wants are the same, right? I want the best for this applicant. You don't call them an applicant. You call them son or your daughter, right? We want the same aspect. And once the parents understand that, like when that parent understood that you and her were on the same page, now you got two people working towards the common goal. Is to get this individual to graduate and move forward with their life and improve their life and be successful. That's why I try to always beat it. And I say it a lot, but again, to a stranger, so a stranger saying that is just words. So it's those actions that they see over time that help you.
Yeah.
And those are the things that drove me because I'm a very people-oriented person to where those are the things that give me energy. Seeing how I can influence someone's life for the better, just like someone did me, like that recruiter that did me way back, right? Over 10, 12, 13 years ago. Who took that same, and a lot of people and parents don't understand that everywhere they put their name, my name is right next to it. So we're on the same page. We want the same thing.
Well, and another thing too, like going off with, having that parent understanding that we're all trying to do the same common goal is that's when it comes down to the interview process too. Involving the parent in the interview. Like, if you listen to me, if you don't tag the parents during the interview, you're crazy. If you don't tag the parents during the interview, you're crazy. While that kid is sitting down doing the East, you pull out the benefit tags and you have the parents pick the tags. Hey, what do you think Johnny's going to pick? Hey, what do you think your son's going to pick? 9 times out of 10, mom and dad are going to be completely off of each other. They're going to be like, oh, no, I think this. Oh, I think this, because they both understand their son differently. Then if you have a brother or a sister in the mix, they're going to be like, no, those are all wrong. And then when that kid finally comes out and drops the tags, mom and dad are looking down like, wait a minute, what? That's important to you? That's important to you? And all of a sudden they're looking at the benefit tags like, and they're looking at their son like, who the fuck is this kid?
Yeah.
Because for the first time ever, they're understanding how he thinks, how he reacts, because maybe they've never had that conversation with this kid. And now we're about to really get deep in it. And then, I don't even bring up what mom and dad thought, unless mom and dad bring it up. And then I'll ask them, but hey, man, why did you pick that? And then boom, we get into it. And the parents are sitting there like, wait a minute, that matters to you? Or like, like when you have some rich ass kids, and their one tag is financial stability. And the parents like, huh? And he's like, yeah, I want to be able to take care of my family like my dad does. I look up to my father. And the dad's sitting there like, wait a minute, huh? you know, and all of a sudden the parents are realizing that you're not the salesman, that you're actually this caring individual that really wants to take care of their son or daughter. You know what I mean? Um, but it's crazy how much goes into it, but nobody ever realizes it. You know what I mean? And you don't realize it until you're done. Like how many hours go into, that one possible Marine. Um, so my next question would really be for you. What are some of the difficulties that you had on the duty? Like, did you have any issues? Did you have any, was there times where you felt, anxiety, depression, panic attacks? Was there times where you just felt like overwhelmed? Like, did you have any difficulties on the duty?
I did. I eat my feelings. I'm one of those that eat their feelings, right? Um, so I would sit there and I'd work super hard to reach somebody, and I felt like I made a connection with them. And I'm the kind of person, I try to remain a person of my word. And he said, yeah, I'm coming in. And I call him, do the text message, the follow-up, say, hey, just making sure we're still on for the day. Yeah, I'm good. I'm coming in. And they wouldn't show up. And I'd be like, oh man. And I'm like, man, why did he just didn't tell me that they weren't going to come in? Because then
Yeah,
I look stupid, and then my time gets wasted. And I used to have this little candy dish next to me. And the next thing I know that happened, I said, just start eating. I had to get rid of the candy dish, man. But that's where it would start. And then realizing that when I took my first discharge, I took it personal. It's hard to not take things personal because it's personally happening to you. But
yeah,
I felt like I failed that person, right? Like, man, maybe I should have been there more and worked out with them more and tried to reach them, right? To the point where they were doing and making the correct changes toward or progress towards where they needed to be. And I would take things like that pretty hard. Same thing with, I remember I had a guy that I was going up to MEPS with, and I'm the kind of person, look, I know how recruiters sound. I'm gonna always just try to logically speak about it in everything. And I want to be, I'm on the side of the Marine Corps, but I want to be impartial at the same time because I want you to see it from as level-headed aspect as I am. And
yeah,
I try not to always bathe it in Marine Corps, and you know what I'm saying. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and that's a weakness to a recruiter. That's not a good thing to do. So I remember it was a Sunday afternoon, and I was up on MEPS, and it was chaos. One guy who was a direct ship was missing documents. He wasn't my guy, but I was trying to like figure out the documents. And then my guy was backing out, and I know what the reason was. And it's hard, and then we talked about this earlier, it's hard to tell somebody something. I don't care what it is, I don't care how right it is. They have to see it and experience it for themselves, for them to have that epiphany to the point where
Yeah,
they get it. You can tell them 100 times, it doesn't
yeah,
matter
yeah, yeah,
until it strikes that chord or it resonates with
yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm trying to tell them, I say, hey man, I understand what's going on, but I'm telling you, this is a situational thing. You will fit, you're a great fit for it, and you have that opportunity now. I don't know if that opportunity will be there later on the road. And you know yourself better than anyone. I'm telling you, the things that you're worried about are not the issue. Now, I'm not gonna get into how, but it's not the issue. And he ended up backing out. The mom, I was very familiar with the mom. The mom called him and she knew what it was. She's like, look, I'm telling you, I know you. If you don't do it now, you're not gonna do it. It's as simple as that. And she was right. And which is, it goes right on what you were saying. You have to try to involve the parents, not just to see how their point of view of their child is, but they know these people better than we do. There's some
Yeah.
things that they don't know about them, right, that they won't tell them, but it's, man, she was right. And I love both of them to this day, right? To this day. But it just, they didn't go through with it. And that's okay. It doesn't, you won't reach everybody, you won't get to everybody. And that's another thing that I had to realize and understand. And just trying to stay motivated on a day-to-day basis after you, on a Sunday, my week started off with a Sunday.
Yeah.
Going like that, losing my applicant. Now we're farther away
Bro,
from
and you know what?
readmission.
you know what it is too, though. It's like, and I'm gonna say this from both aspects, right? And that's why I love that I was a staff in COIC and I was a recruiter because I can speak from both hats.
Mhm.
Um, I forgot about that, I'm saying this because I realize it now. Like, you had this kid you had a drop shipper,
Mhm.
you know what I mean, and you probably, correct me if I'm wrong,
Mhm.
but you probably got a call from the RI, the ARI, the CEO, or if it wasn't you, your boss was getting that phone call,
Oh, I
and
know
now
he
your
was. I know
boss,
he was.
and now your boss was getting calls like, "What the fuck do you mean we dropped the shipper?" And
Yeah.
like, and I get where they're coming from, but at the same time, like, no one's asking you, like, "Hey, bro, how the fuck are you, Will? Yo, how are you
Yeah.
right now?" Because now, what's the expectation? The expectation is tomorrow. Will got actually not even tomorrow, bitch. You better get out you better go call a pulley and find the shipper. And that's the thing is that and again talking about that resiliency, you're immediately you don't even get time to react. You don't even get time to just look at the life. You got to be like, boom, I'm in it. And that goes back to the drive because now as a staff at COIC, I'm pissed off at you. I'm like, what the hell? Because I'm getting, the shit's coming down on me. Now my shit's coming down on you. And
Mhm.
now instead of letting you go home and just be with your family, you know what? Hey, man, we'll just deal with it tomorrow, whatever the hell. 9 times out of 10, this becomes a whirlwind of fire. And now your whole week is starting off on a negative foot, but
Yeah.
now they want you to find more contracts. They want you to find more kids. But now I have this negativity inside of me that I haven't even been able to deal with. But you want me to be able to be positive. But it's
Mhm.
like, bro, how about we just step back for a second and talk about how we could have been better in this situation? Talk about what we could have done so it doesn't happen again. But 9 times out of 10, that doesn't happen. And then, you have that bitterness inside of you, or you have that upsetness, or like you said, you're eating away at yourself figuratively and emotionally, and physically, and it becomes this just trash, and it festers and shit. Um, so I guess one of my next questions really would be, for you, what was it like during this time frame, like in Ohio, or I'm sorry, in Indiana? Like, how was it during the holiday season? Did you guys get a lot of recruiters assistance? If you did, how did you effectively use them? And then also, how was it being a recruiter during the holidays?
Very difficult an area that I was because no one wants to talk to you throughout the holidays. No one wants to commit, right? Oh, we got that waiting until after we come back to school after the first
Yeah, my New Year's
and
resolution.
yeah. We don't want to make any decisions now. We'll talk about it over, Christmas, so and so. So very, very difficult to find those, which is the only thing I think only thing was our saving grace, or at least mine, was having people you had been working that were say like med, not med, the
Yeah, yeah,
medical
yeah. View
that
meds.
were
Yeah,
clear. Yeah.
yeah,
So by the time they just going up there and swearing in, going up there
yeah,
and swearing, so I was like, woo, okay. So that's what helps us during that time because just commitment wise, no one wants to make
yeah.
no one wants to make a
And that's
decision.
why you got to fill up, and that's what I was
That
always
bank.
trying to explain to people. And nobody ever wants to make sense of it until all of a sudden, like your command, they don't want to start talking about it, and that's the thing too, is you have these commands that come out there and be like, hey guys, we're going to work really hard this summer so you can have the holidays off. And it's like, wait a minute. And this is my thought. As soon as somebody would tell me that, wait a minute. So you want me to work hard for what I'm already supposed to have off? So
Yeah.
you want me to work more hours now so that I can eventually have hours off?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. So the reality of it is that should never be the conversation. What should be the conversation is, listen, motherfucker, when you're at work, work
Yep.
and get your shit done and have a plan so that when November, December hits, you already have kids on deck. You already have kids that you can drop. Because if you think that in-month contracting is going to happen in November and December, you're crazy.
Ooh.
Bro, I even work in sales now as a civilian, and my boss was getting on us, and I was like, listen, listen, I've made 175 phone calls today. I've done 5 or 6 interviews today. I've did recruiting duty for 4 years in the Marine Corps. I know as well as you know that
Mhm.
through November and December, sales drop. This isn't a normal job. We're not, we're not Verizon. You're not selling somebody a
A
product, a
gift.
gift.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is a life decision that they're making that's going to impact them forever. And right now, during November and December, ain't nobody trying to make no freaking life decisions. And that's the reality of it. So during this time, and that's the worst part about it, man. Like, I hate that mentality of, hey, you know what? It's Thanksgiving. You're going to go out and work today.
Good. Sure.
Who the
You're not gonna
hell do
find
you
anything.
think?
I mean, you can work. You're just not gonna find anything.
Yeah, like who am I going to talk to that's going to look at me and say, yeah, I want to be a Marine as you work on Thanksgiving? Like, you know what I mean? So what were some, I guess my question for you would be, what were some tips and tricks? Like, how did you make it through the holiday season for 3 years?
Um, just try to involve, and this is where the support systems and those families that you make really good contacts with help, right? Because they start to understand the gravity that is placed on you as recruiters. And then we would have, parents bring stuff in from those that have gone to boot camp and came back already, right? Showing their appreciation. To kind of ease it a little bit. And then we would bring some guys back for recruiters assistance, but it's difficult to get them to work too during the holidays. And some of the parents are like, man, how long are they gonna be there? They won't be here as long as we do. We'll send them home so they get to spend some time with you. But we're just trying to get some work out of them. But it's like I said, as far as if we're talking from a contracting standpoint, you have to really hit your follow-up system. Yeah, that system in place to follow up 30, 60, 90, whatever it is. Just make sure you continue to build those connections, because those are those people that will commit during those times.
Don't be making cold calls right now. It's already cold enough out here. Like
Yeah.
like you need to be using you need to be using the working file. You need to be calling your interview log. You need to be calling your NWA log. You need to be that's the shit. Yuletide and shit. Those logs. You need those the logs for the fire, bro. Because that's the thing, man. Is that like, and then so here's my take on recruiter assistance, and I'm doing an episode later on with a 28412 friend of mine, because I believe that the recruiter's assistant is not used accurately. I believe, and everywhere I've seen it across New Jersey, that's really all I've seen it. But I have friends of mine that are from other places. And bro, if you're bringing a Lance Corporal home or even a corporal, bro, you can get corporals and sergeants home, but nobody ever does it. You know what I mean? So realistically, you should get a corporal to come home so he could deal with all the Lance Corporals and PFCs. So that's his beauty. Hey man, listen, Corporal, you're gonna deal with all those Marines because I, as a recruiter, I, as a staff in SNCOICS, we got to deal with all this shit. And I'm not about to have to be accountable for all these dudes. Now, mind you, am I still going to hold accountability formations for them while they're home? All those things, yes. But hey, Corporal, you're going to be in charge. The small unit leadership's got to still exist, right? And then I don't know what happens, but people, recruiters, staff at COs, suddenly have this idea in their heads that Lance Corporals are recruiters and they've been to BRC. No, bro, listen.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I'm going to break this down Barney style for you, brother. All I need you to do, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give an iCombat V class. So I'm going to teach all of you how to do the iCombat V, how to pack somebody out. And even then, to me, that's way too complicated. I need you to get me names and numbers. I need you to get me leads. I need you to get me AC contacts. Because guess what? You may botch your iCombat V. You have no idea what you're talking about. And you're going to lose that kid. And you don't even know. And they're going to give you a fake number. So all I need you to do is I need you to get me leads. And then on top of that, what do I have to have you do? I have to use you at this time to infest my area with you. Get on Snapchat, get on Instagram, get on any kind of social media at the recruiting office, in the recruiting office, bring people to the office. But at the same time, I got to let you enjoy your time with your family.
Yeah.
Because if I don't, your mother's never going to want to help me.
Yeah.
Your mother's never going to want you to come home on leave again or on recruiter's assistance again. On top of that, you're never going to want to come back You're
Yep.
going to tell all of your friends to never go on recruiter's assistance
Yep.
because, bro, I had a gunny. I won't say his name. He's about to retire out the Marine Corps, but he had like 17 or 18 RAs. And because like our office would get like 20 people, like we would
Yeah.
bring home like a fuck ton of kids, and this dude would have them work until 9, 10, 12 o'clock at night. And it's like, bro, they're not recruiters, first
Mhm.
of all, and they're just home trying to be with their family. They understand they got to work. And listen, mind you, I'm
Mhm.
not saying recruiter assistance is free leave. I'm not
Mhm.
saying that. They are home for a purpose, but they're not recruiters. They're
Yep.
not on a number. And the reality of it is that if you treated them the right way,
They'll come back.
not only will they come back, but while they're out in the fleet, they'll still bring you leads, bro.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
I don't know how many times I was on recruiting duty and I had a corporal or a sergeant hit me up and be like, "Yo, Bennett, this dude over here hit me up. He wants to join the Marine Corps. He's coming to the office tomorrow. Can you be there?" Word, got you. Dudes in Japan call
Yeah.
me. My boy Paulino, my boy Ramadan that I put in the Marine Corps, both corporals about to be sergeants, hit me up. Yo, Staff Smart, I know it's 10 o'clock at night and on a Saturday, but I got this kid coming in tomorrow with his parents for you. Bro, thank you. I appreciate it. Bro, I would get interviews, fully packed out interviews from my kids that I taught how to do shit.
Yeah.
And that's the reality of it, bro. If you're not utilizing the recruiter assistant program the correct way,
It'll show.
it's gonna show. And
Yeah.
then that's why you have all these. I've been off recruiting duty, so it's too long. But you have the percentages of how many are supposed to come from recruiters and how much is supposed to be recruiter generated and how much is
Yep.
supposed to come from the pool program and the RA program and the command
Yep.
recruiter program. And the reality of it is that if you look at most people's numbers, ain't nobody getting shit from the command recruiting program.
Nope. It's all recruiter generated.
Yeah, or unless you have the dudes who are putting in the fakes because, oh, bro, I remember one time, bro, my boy, we were getting ready for an SRI. So our boss was like, "Hey, listen, man, um, start putting in your kids as poolee referrals." So my boy misunderstood. So my boy put every contract in as a pool referral. So all of
Mm.
a sudden, this dude had no recruiter generated. He had no recruiter generated police, bro. And the command was
Oh,
like, "What the fuck?" He
yeah.
was like, "What are you not working?" And he was like, "Nah, Gunny told me to put him in like that." And it's like, no, man. We said like one every, once in a blue moon. You mean
Yeah.
like feature kid one or whatever? But like, bro, don't be freaking dude. He gave every one of his poolies was a freaking was a pulley generated referral, bro. I was like, no. but but all right, man. So we've talked about a lot.
I know.
Is there anything that we haven't spoken about that you kind of want to get into before we cap it up? Is there anything that you want to get off your chest? Any advice that you want to give anybody? Anything that you wish you knew before you got on the street? Anything at all?
Nothing that stands out. Just talk to as many people as you can, because I used to think that it was me, like I'm this fantastic sales. Well, actually, that's a lie. I never thought that. But um, we always think that it's us, like it's me, the recruiter that brought that in. Like, no, it's always someone else. A recruiter that talked to a guy before you talked to him, or they saw the guy, and they're like, "Oh, dang, okay." And then now it's you're encountering this individual, and now they're more open to it because they saw it before, or they've talked to a recruiter before, just maybe weren't eligible due to age or circumstance, whatever. So now they are eligible, and you get them. And then we always think that that's us. It's not us. It's those that put in work before us. Um, and that same thing, people that I contracted, that initial interest may have been generated by another recruiter before them. Same thing with me, the guys after me, and the guys after them, so on and so forth. So if you just talk to as many people as you can, put that positive energy,
Yeah,
that knowledge of the Marine Corps out there, for those that are currently on the duty, currently in the streets,
yeah,
and it will come back. I just don't know if it'll come
yeah,
back to you, but it
yeah,
will
yeah,
come
yeah.
back.
Bro,
So
it's the truth though, and it's true because I remember, numerous times, man. I would talk to kids about, oh, you ever talked to a Marine Corps recruiter before? They'd be like, yeah, I talked to this dude years ago.
come
Or,
on.
or I would get back to the office, I put their name in the system and be like, oh, this dude been interviewed 4 times. You know what I mean? Or someone would be like, oh yeah, I was too young, but this dude gave me his card. I still have it in my wallet, and stuff like that. Or, oh yeah, I followed this dude on Instagram from a while back,
Yep.
and that's the thing, man, is like and again, you brought this up earlier, planting that seed. You don't know, that the seed that you plant is gonna flourish while you're there, but it may flourish later on. It may provide shade to somebody else. And that's
Mhm.
why we plant the seed, is that at some point it's gonna provide shade to somebody else on a hot day. And that's what we got to do as recruiters, as Marines, period. And because, bro, there's still, bro, I'm telling you right now, man, if you don't realize this, you're crazy. Um, bro, there was this one dude, I'm not gonna say his name, but he was an oddball, man. This dude was an oddball. And me and my wife still talk about him. And this is from like 8 years ago. So this dude would stand here at the restaurant. Like he'd be outside area canvassing, and he would do this. He would go against the wall of the bank and just sit here, smoking a cigarette, talking to himself. Like he legitimately would sit out. He didn't know that it was my wife's job. So he would sit outside of my wife's job, smoking a cigarette in his deltas, just talking to himself. And bro, people to this day still talk about him. They're like, "Yo, remember that recruiter who used to sit outside of the bank?" And it's like, yo, he was mad weird, bro. And bro, and that's the thing is like people, you're gonna be remembered, and you're gonna be remembered as a lot of different things.
Yeah.
You could be like me, who I was the asshole recruiter. Everybody knew me as the asshole recruiter because that's just who I was as a person. But guess what? A lot of people love that about me. People love the fact that I'm going to tell you exactly how it is, straight to the point, because I'm not lying. Like if I'm going to tell you the way it is, how it is, the way it comes out of my mouth, then that just shows you that I'm genuine and then I'm not lying to you. And a lot of people, especially parents, enjoyed that. They were like, you know what? You're talking to my teenager like he's a grown up, and you're treating him as an adult, and that's how it should be. Some parents, not so much. But that's my point, and it's exactly like you said, man. You got to plant the right seed, you got to water the seed, and and it's all about, especially if you're on the first year of the duty, bro, there's kids that you find the first year that you might contract the third year,
Yep.
or
Yes,
maybe
sir.
they come, or maybe as you're leaving, they're starting to come back around, and now they may even come back in the office asking for you. Like, bro, I still live in the AO that I could recruit it out of.
Mhm.
So I have my boy, I've been off the duty almost a year now. My boy hit me up the other day and he was like, yo, so and so came in asking for you. I was
Mhm.
like, yeah, man, it's I'm like, did you tell him I'm not there no more? He's like, yeah, I told him. He was like, but can you hit him up for me though? I'm like, yeah, of course. Because it just, life changed, circumstances changed, and now the kid was ready to do it. And I meant that much to him, or I impacted him so much that he's like, you know what? I'm gonna go find Bennett again. And my name is still out there, or other stuff. People call me all the time. Hey, yo, you remember this kid? I'm like, yeah, I remember that kid.
Ooh, yeah.
And that's the thing, man. Is be memorable, be compassionate, be who you are. Most importantly, and just just be better. Be better, be compassionate, have drive, be resilient. All the things we talked about. Plant seeds, flourish. Is there anything you want to end off with? Any words of wisdom you want to drop on us?
No, I think I did it. What you just said, just be a good image because um, when I was in an area, there was an 8412, and they were saying, yeah, Staff Sergeant such and such. And I'm like, Staff Sergeant such and such. That's not. You mean Master Sergeant? He had been there and he had been remembered for so long. There had been
Wow,
several ranks he had picked up, but he had left an impact. And that's what I'd
that's
say is the
awesome.
bottom line is look to make an impact on people's lives, on the communities that we inhabit, to the schools that we visit, to the individuals that we talk to. Just look to make an impact. So.
Damn, bro. I couldn't have ended it better myself, bro. Yo, I really appreciate you, brother. I appreciate everything that you talked about. I appreciate the topics that you brought up because honestly, I haven't really brought them up. I haven't really talked about resiliency. I haven't really talked about drive. I haven't really talked about, planting the correct seed, or, being that impact. So I love the way that you, just kind of ended that for us, man. So you heard it here, man. Be a better impact in your areas, be a better impact for the community, and just continue to be you, plant those seeds and help the generations of Marines to come. And, just be real with people. And no, don't be a salesman, just come off the right way, come correct. And, you don't got to sell the Marine Corps. Just talk about the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
The Marine Corps sells itself, bro. You just got to be the catalyst to do it. You just got to show people that you're the product and this is what the Marine Corps creates, while still being yourself. So, hey, man, I appreciate you, man.
Thank you so
I
much.
appreciate everything. I really thank you for coming out here, man. I appreciate this. This episode will drop sometime this week. And thanks again, man. Hey, if you're listening to this, you can either, you can continue to follow me on YouTube, or you can go over to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any kind of podcast that you want. And then my Instagram is also up there as well. And thanks again, Joe. I appreciate you.
Hey,
have a good rest of the day, brother. And enjoy your Sunday, man.
Hey, you as well, brother. Stay safe. Thank you.
All right. Later, brother.